Hello and welcome to another Pico video. I know it's supposed to be a Minecraft video, but it's a Pico video. If you haven't watched the little vlog type video I did very recently, go check that out. So in this video, we're just going to sort of make everything that we've got so far look a bit more game-like. Because right now it's very, I don't know, prototypey, and there's not a right lot going on. So a big part of this process is nicer looking sprites, which is not something that I'm really equipped to do a video on because I'm not an artist. So, I mean, what I found is that with pixel art, especially pixel art this small, because it's 8x8 sprites, with enough staring at pictures of pixel art and enough time, pretty much anyone can do something that looks half decent, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stare at a lot of pictures of pixel art and spend a load of time on it. So rather than force you to watch all that, enjoy this little montage. So there we have it. You can see we have got some nice looking graphics. It looks a bit more like an actual game rather than what it looked like before, which if I just jump over to this level, you can see it because I've only done one screen. But basically, there we go. Yay! Yay! Anyway, obviously I'm not going to end the video there with just a little time lapse, so I thought the next step I wanted to go to make this more game-like is to give ourselves a little bit of a HUD, as far as you get that in these sort of games. So what I'm going to do for the HUD is I'm going to go into our map, and what we're going to do is we're going to have this top layer here be blank, and that's going to be where we're going to put our information. And you could put this at the bottom if you wanted. You could even have it as an overlay, although it might get a bit difficult to understand what's going on there. So in order to do this, I'm going to snip everything from, let's move all of this. No, let's go from there. So I'm going to snip everything there, well, copy it, and then we can paste it down one. So hopefully that shouldn't have messed up the level too much. Oh, right, sorry, one thing that I should note is I kind of messed up doing my sprites in that I put the border to the water in the grass tile. So as you can see, if I just go over to the sprites here, if you can see that the water edge is in the grass tile and then the water itself is just blue. That's kind of a problem. I haven't changed it because I don't want to spend 3 hours messing around with sprites. I've got it looking good enough to be able to move on with the video, and obviously this isn't an actual game, this is just working through the process. You are learning Pico with me at the same time, because I am also learning Pico as we do this. But the problem it creates is that, as you can see here, where this spike tile is, I can't put the corner piece there because there's a spike tile there. So I could make another spike tile that has the corner, that has this part here, or I could remove this spike tile entirely, but then the player would be able to walk through that, which is a bit of a problem if I want him to go down this way, which is exactly what I want him to do. You can see he can't walk through the trees because we've set the trees to solid, and he can walk through the spikes, but the spikes do register as the player has died, as you can see there. So the idea was, with this little half-baked level, was that he gets forced to go around this way, and then he didn't necessarily have to follow the path, but he can't walk through the water, and he can't walk through the spikes, and then he gets to here, and he's in the next horrible little dungeon level, because we haven't made one there yet. So yeah, to do this properly, or to do it better, would be a better way of putting it, you would put the border in the water. Instead of having a little bit of water in the grass tile, you'd have a little bit of grass on the edge of the water tile. And then you would be able to have spikes or whatever border thing you want there without it interfering with the border of the island. So now that we've done that, I'm going to make this top part black. You can just pick this one for this because it doesn't treat the map. It doesn't draw 0. It treats 0 as empty or transparent. When we run it, we've got the top part there, which is completely black. Although it's a bit hard to tell because everything around the game is black, but it is black. In fact, what we could actually do is we'll create a second, or a UI tile, I guess we could call it, which for now we'll just give like a white border. It doesn't need to be anything special. Well, let's give it like a bezel. And then we'll use that across the top there. So that's, it's a bit more like a defined area now. And then we can, let's just do for a test, let's print something in that space. So if we go down to our draw thing and we say print, let's just say player for now, we're just testing. I'm going to put it at 5 from the edge, 2, let's say 3 from the top, and then the color wants to be 0. Okay, so that's too far from the top, so let's go for 1. There we go. So what I'll do with this is I will make this, let's just give it game title just for the sake of having something up there. And also let's move that to the edge. There we go. And then we want some health. So for health, let's do this. Now, I believe I've mentioned this before, but in Pico-8, all of the characters, all of the keys have a second character that you can use. So if I press shift and use any of these, you get all these symbols, and the one that we want is that one, which I believe is shift H. I'm actually using a keyboard with no legends on it at the minute, so it's a bit hard to tell. So for the distance, we're going to go with, we're just going to pull a number out of a backside and say 100, and then from the top it wants to be the same. And then for the color, we're going to go with red, which is color 8. There we go. So we've got some hearts there. But obviously it's not much use just printing some hearts. So, well, first off, let's assume that we're going to have 3 hearts. We're going to have to change this if we decide to add like 5 hearts or make it so the player can gain more hearts. But let's assume there's just 3 hearts for now. So we can move this over so that it's closer to the edge of the screen. That's too far. Not far enough. Too far. Let's stick with 4. Alright, so that's the first thing, and I'm just going to call this making a Pico game, and I'm going to actually change the color to make it stand out a little bit less. So what color number is that? That is number 5. There we go. So that is going to be our basic game UI. So now let's make it so that these hearts actually mean something, because right now it's just going to print 3 hearts no matter what's going on in the game. So let's go to our player thing. I'm going to give him another value. And this value, which can just go down here, player.health equals 3. So that's 3 for 3 hearts. And then somewhere down here, I think it was in here. No, was it in here? Somewhere we set where the player gets injured. There we go. If collide center, so if the player is over something and it's got flag 1. So if you remember, flag 1 we set as damage, basically. So if it collide and it's flag 1, then we're going to say player.health minus equals 1. So the next thing is to have it draw that here. So again, I'm learning Pico-8 as we go here. So if anyone's watching this who knows Pico-8, I'm sorry if this isn't a good way of doing it. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to set this to a string. So first off, let's say local, call this hearts, and it's going to equal nothing. Then we're going to say if player.health is equal to 1, then heart equals 1 heart. Then we need an end on there. Oh, actually, we can do it as else if player dot health equals 2, then hearts equals 2 hearts, and then finally else if player dot health is equal to 3, then hearts equals 3 hearts. And then we want an end on the end of that one. No syntax errors, which is nice. And then down here, instead of what we've got here, we're just going to use hearts. So now, in theory, if we walk over here, it kind of works. We need to do we need to stop it from just erasing all the hearts all at once. So let's have a second value. Let's say player dot is is damaged. And it's going to equal false. And this is basically going to be kind of like a flag. And what we're going to do is when we get damaged, we're going to set this flag to true. So let's just go back to here and we'll handle that part first. So in here, we're going to say player.isDamaged equals true. So we're saying that we are actually being damaged. So we're going to use this flag up here, and the way we're going to do that is we have this check here, and this check tells us if we are colliding with something that's damaged us, or that should damage us, because we've got this flag set to 1. So inside here, we're going to have a second check, and that check is going to say if not player.isDamaged, then, and it's going to say do all this, end. So now if we run it, we should find that we can only lose 1 heart when we go over the spikes. If we stand on the spikes, we don't just lose 50 hearts all at once. But the problem with this is that if we go back over the spikes, we don't lose any more health. And the reason for that is that we are setting this here to true, which prevents us from taking more health away, and we're never setting it back to false. So obviously we want to set it back to false. So what we're going to say here is if we collide with it and not player is damaged, then take away health. However, if we collide with it and player is damaged, we don't want to do anything. So then down here, instead of end, we're going to have else, and this is going to say if player.isDamaged, then player.isDamaged equals false. So what this is saying is if we collide with something that can harm us and the player is not damaged, damage them and set damage to true. Else, if the player is not colliding with something but the player is damaged, then set damage to false. So now if we run it, we should find that we don't lose all our health at once when we go over spikes, but if we leave spikes and come back on, we can lose a heart again. And now we have a working health system. And obviously, we probably want a timer that, but we're going to do timers in a different video, so I'm not going to do it now. But rather than have it stay that way until you walk off the spikes, because then you could just walk onto the spikes and sit there and never do anything, we want it to be on a timer so that you get, like, I don't know, a 2-second grace period once you've hit the spikes where you can get away from the spikes without losing more health. So, what else do we want here? Probably do a little, like a flash to show that we've been damaged. So, yeah, let's do that. We don't need this died thing anymore because we are not doing that. So we can get rid of that variable and we can come down here and get rid of this. And then if we go back to the top and we'll give ourselves a new variable, which we'll just call flash, screen flash, scrun flash, scum flash, we'll call it that, equals false. And then what we will do is we're going to go to the top here after CLS, and this is a very basic thing. You might want to do something a bit fancier with a proper game, but just to give us a visual cue that we've actually been damaged other than our health going down. What I'm going to do is say if did I call it scun or scrun? I called it scun. Scun flash. If scun flash equals true, then, and we're going to do all of this like we already were doing. That is if screen flash not true. So if screen flash is not true, do all of this like we were already doing. And then we'll say else. So this was after the clear. So we're already clearing the screen. We're just not going to draw any of the stuff. We could theoretically leave this up. We'll think about that in a second. Let's get it working first. And then what I'm going to do is rect fill. And so this is, as the name suggests, is going to make a filled rectangle. And it's going to be from not, for now, this may change, to 127, 127, so basically the full screen, and I want it to be red, which is 8, and that is that. But then what we're also going to do is say screen flash equals false. So we're going to set screen flash to false. So basically, for 1 frame, it's going to flash red on the screen. That's what's basically going to happen. And we want to do that here. Screen flash equals, no, true, equals true. No semicolon. Okay, so that was double operator equals false, not if not false. So we run that. In theory, should get a blinding flash. There we go. And obviously you can do that however you want. So we have a sprite up at top here that does the hood area. So what we could do instead is have this start at 8 and no, sorry, that's the X. This wants to be 8 or 9. So now when we walk into spikes, the flash shouldn't cover the hood. Although you can't tell because the whole screen gets cleared out. So what we want to do is exclude the hood from this if statement. So we can do that. First off, we'll put this outside. So the map gets drawn regardless. And then we want this part up here to be outside of the if statement so that the information that we put in that area also gets drawn regardless. So basically the only thing it's not drawing now is the player. I'm just wondering, have I got my Y's mixed up? Just for testing, let's not set this to false and see what red we get. Yeah, there we go. So for some reason it's drawing the red the way we want it, but it's not drawing the text. Oh, because I've pasted it the wrong side of the if statement, like a genius. Can you believe nearly 5,000 people watch these videos? So now we should at least have this. There we go. But I've left my hearts. So now it's going to do a check to see if screen flash is on, and if screen flash is on, it's going to draw the screen like it did before, but it's not going to draw the player, and instead we're going to have this big rectangle that covers the screen. And like I said, you could do different death animations or signals or whatever. So let's just take that away, and hopefully back to normal. There we go. So now we're not drawing over the hood. So I think that will be where I end this video. I don't want to keep these. I want to keep these relatively short because like Pico-8 is not that big a thing, so I don't want to be making 50-minute videos on it. And this is not really a tutorial series as much as it is a journey that I'm taking with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments and everything. And obviously, as I said before, if you haven't checked out the vlog video, it's got some quite important information about the channel going forward and everything. So please do check that out. I shall stick a card for it up here, you know, up here somewhere. She can't walk there because there's water and we haven't coded her to swim, but you get the idea. So with that in mind, the last thing to do is to thank my Patreons, as always. You guys are a massive part of what keeps this channel going, and yeah, so thank you to all of the Patreons, but as always, a special thanks to the Sugar Daddy / Mama tier Patreons, and those are Dave Maldine, Reg Reed, Gabriel White, Julio Montero, Aaron Clark, and Mr. Drunken Dragon. And big thanks to everyone in the Discord. Thanks again, and bye-bye.